Oh my goodness. The WNBA, the Indiana Fever organization, it's a complete circus and a clown show. Now look, I don't know. We got to go through what Bree Turner is alleging versus the Indiana Fever organization in response to Sophie Cunningham. And I was staying away from it, but damn it, we can't stay away from it because it's here now. Sophie Cunningham blasted.
The highly anticipated 2026 WNBA All-Star festivities in Chicago were engineered to serve as the ultimate crowning achievement for women's professional basketball, fueled by tens of millions of dollars from powerful television networks and massive corporate backers. League officials anticipated a pristine, glittering showcase of their billion-dollar enterprise, banking on athletes to maintain perfect public relations smiles while ignoring any backstage turmoil. Instead, they miscalculated on a catastrophic level. And as things stand today, the entire association is effectively crumbling into dust. Stripped of its glamorous marketing and packed stadiums, the fundamental core of this sport is undergoing a violent implosion. A weekend meant for celebration has rapidly devolved into an absolute horror show characterized by explosive internal leaks, a deeply poisoned work environment, and top-tier talent walking away. We are currently watching an unmatched rebellion unfold within the locker rooms as courageous whistleblowers gamble their livelihoods to unveil repulsive front office suppression tactics and the grim reality of athlete mistreatment when the broadcast feeds cut to black. The most prominent, revenue-driving icons on Earth are boldly declining to participate in the association's premier showcases. With the commissioner's inner circle engulfed in pure chaos and financial backers ready to abandon ship, you need to buckle up because the league's shadowy underbelly has finally been exposed to the public eye, ensuring the sport will never return to its former state. To grasp the true nature of this violent rupture, one must peer beyond the statistical leaderboards and plunge into the heavily fortified, venomous administrative environment where athletes were historically viewed as disposable commodities, expected to endure physical punishment on the hardwood while maintaining absolute silence about institutional abuses. But that barrier of silence has decisively shattered.
We have got to get into this. Oh my goodness. This is nuts. We're going to get into all the tweets, but she started right here. She said, an issue that has caused problems, though. So she's saying transgenders has not caused any problems in women's sports. This is Bree Turner. An issue that has caused problems, though. Last year on my WNBA team, the Indiana Fever, a male staffer was fired for sexual harassment, but we were encouraged to keep quiet about it. That is an issue. Sexism, misogyny, homophobia, and racism are all issues. Bree Turner just put the Indiana Fever organization on blast. I don't know if this is true. I don't think... Look, I'm not a huge fan of Bree Turner. I'm not into all the activism stuff, but I don't think that she would come out and just lie. Like, it would be really weird if she came out and lied about this, saying a male staffer.
This escalating nightmare initially ignited when horrifying accusations surrounding the Indiana Fever franchise were abruptly shoved into the harsh glare of media scrutiny, largely thanks to respected league veteran Breonna Turner detonating a massive bombshell across her social platforms. She laid bare a genuinely terrifying scenario involving a male organizational employee who was quietly terminated during the previous campaign for sexual misconduct. Yet the true terror lies not just in the initial transgression, but in the meticulously orchestrated concealment campaign that ensued. According to these explosive revelations, franchise executives aggressively leaned on their roster to remain totally mute, essentially forcing these women to bury their personal trauma and sweep the entire ordeal under the rug to shield the team's lucrative billion-dollar reputation. Management swiftly issued an incredibly robotic, highly filtered press release claiming they prioritize safety, all while cowardly dodging any specific questions about the actual offenses committed. This starkly illuminated a chilling reality for the athletes, proving that top-level administrators are infinitely more concerned with hiding massive controversies and preserving their own paychecks than safeguarding the mental and physical welfare of the very competitors who sacrifice their bodies on the court every single evening. As the sickening truth regarding these institutional cover-ups propagated throughout the sport, the underlying fury brewing among the players violently erupted. They collectively recognized that the WNBA's entire operational framework was fundamentally compromised, from the officiating crews repeatedly failing to police malicious on-court cheap shots, to the executive suites completely neglecting their duty to prevent backstage harassment, prompting a desperate search for a relentless catalyst who possessed the raw audacity to directly challenge the billionaire ownership class.
Place any fear in you? 100%. I know that it definitely freaks out me and my teammates along with girls on other teams.
Yeah. Ella, and you are suing your high school because they allow biological boys in the locker room with you, and you've incurred harassment.
Whoa, whoa. I didn't even know this part. So this young lady right here is suing her high school for letting biological boys into the female locker room. Hold on, this is crazy.
And my teammates along with girls on other teams.
Yeah. Ella, and you are suing your high school because they allow biological boys in the locker room with you, and you've incurred harassment from that?
Yeah, so I stood up at the school board meeting and said that I think this is inappropriate and boys shouldn't be allowed to share bathrooms and similar spaces like that. And I kind of got shut down, so they said that if you want to take a step forward, you have to sue the school. And so that's what we did.
Wow. And
yo, this is crazy. Wait a minute.
Yeah, so I stood up at the school board meeting and said that I think this is inappropriate and boys shouldn't be allowed to share bathrooms and similar spaces like that. And I kind of got shut down, so they said...
Enter the fiercely intimidating Phoenix Mercury enforcer, Sophie Cunningham, an athlete who built her formidable legacy on an absolute refusal to yield or retreat from any adversary or obstacle in her path. Whether she is absorbing a vicious blow to the face in the painted area or aggressively confronting a rival, she fundamentally lacks a flinch reflex, and the moment she caught wind of these suppressed harassment reports, her restraint entirely vanished. Behind-the-scenes sources indicate the seasoned veteran was consumed by pure outrage as she observed the paralyzed executives and their total absence of accountability, ultimately deciding to launch an all-out offensive against the establishment. Stepping up not merely for herself but emerging as the definitive leader for a thoroughly exhausted and enraged collective, she fiercely mobilized both seasoned pros and fresh draftees to send an undeniable message that these women refuse to be utilized as mere promotional props for corporate benefactors, while their fundamental safety is continuously jeopardized. Marching proverbial demands straight to the commissioner's doorstep, she delivered an uncompromising and savage ultimatum, making it crystal clear that the roster was permanently finished hiding the administration's catastrophic blunders. By choosing rebellion over compliance, she effectively struck the flint that would swiftly incinerate the entire 2026 All-Star gathering down to its very foundations.
But I don't think that she would come out and just lie. Like, it would be really weird if she came out and lied about this, saying a male staffer, for her to make it up. I don't think she would make it up. But this is definitely in response to Sophie Cunningham saying biological men should not be playing in women's sports, point blank, period. Okay. And she came out and threw the Indiana Fever. Sophie Cunningham, who just spoke about this in the Indiana Fever pregame, through the Indiana Fever. Yo, this is crazy. And if the Indiana Fever did tell people to be quiet about and all that, that's foul. That's nasty work. And everybody should be held accountable from the top down. From the top down. They should be held accountable. Okay. Cheryl Reeves said, of course, it weighs on me. The attacks on trans people. Everything that they've gone through makes it seem like it's got way more aggressive. It's sort of sickening when...
Empowered by this fearless vanguard, and with the organization's rotten internal dynamics completely unmasked, the subsequent chain reaction unfolded with frightening velocity as the globe's most lucrative and recognizable basketball icons finalized a historically unified strategy. They resolved to strike the association directly in its financial jugular by completely abandoning the massively hyped 2026 three-point shootout, transforming a marquee television spectacle designed to mint millions into an incredibly humiliating, desolate wasteland. The sport's unquestionable marquee attraction and the most bankable asset in women's basketball history, Caitlin Clark, rattled the entire athletic community to its core when she abruptly opted out of the proceedings entirely. Officially rejecting her spot in the perimeter showcase, she adamantly refused to associate her globally recognized brand with the commissioner's rapidly disintegrating, profoundly disorganized administrative circus.
As trans, yet they are always trending topic. Unfortunately, I'm in my 8th season as a WNBA player. To date, there's been one out trans player in the league. They caused 0 problems. An issue that has caused problems, though, last year on my WNBA team, a male staffer was fired for sexual harassment because we were encouraged to keep quiet about it. That is an issue. Sexism, misogyny, homophobia, and racism are all issues. There are many sex variations, and then she went into the whole thing. Okay, from my time in my undergrad at Notre Dame, I took many courses where I became better educated on trans community. My studies have led me to be inclusive, okay? Now, this whole rant, she said, I know people speaking about trans inclusion as a recipe for hate in such an awful platform, but I would much rather the hate come my way instead of the trans community, and my mentions are off anyway. If you're interested in supporting the trans community or becoming more knowledgeable about how they are constantly under attack, some of my favorite nonprofits, and then she listed them and yada, yada, yada. Now, this is all in response to what Sophie Cunningham doubled down on saying today. Check this out.
On that same vein, in that story with ESPN, you talked about wanting to protect young girls who shouldn't have to go against biological men. Just can you expand your viewpoint on that?
I mean, I think I said what I said. I think it's kind of common sense. And I think I'll always believe in that. I think it's really important to protect children. And that's little girls who are also involved in that category. And so I stand on.
Broadcast executives were immediately seized by absolute panic, fully aware that a broadcast devoid of their primary superstar would result in a catastrophic viewership collapse. Yet the unfolding disaster was merely getting started. Adding to the widespread fan bewilderment, reigning title holder Sabrina Ionescu is also glaringly missing from the participant list, further cementing the front office's image of desperate incompetence right before sharpshooting veteran Kayla McBride unleashed a public tirade against the league's brass. Openly trashing what she deemed a completely half-hearted outreach effort, she aggressively highlighted the profound disrespect and sheer chaos trickling down from the highest levels of management. The overarching statement was devastatingly clear as transcendent playmakers and battle-tested veterans united to establish an immovable boundary, refusing to print money for an institution that conveniently ignores chronic workplace misconduct. This situation has escalated far beyond a simple failed promotional event into a comprehensive institutional meltdown, with the administration forced to watch their meticulously curated kingdom disintegrate before their eyes. As the workforce finally grasps its immense leverage, these women are permanently rejecting the antiquated expectations where they were forced to display gratitude for a modest salary, while higher-ups shielded bad actors and ignored vicious physical assaults on the floor. Meanwhile, the powerful financial backers who injected hundreds of millions into this promised athletic revolution are currently barricaded in frantic emergency meetings, viciously interrogating the commissioner over a catastrophic public relations inferno birthed from pure ineptitude. They are fiercely demanding to know why their premier broadcast is being actively boycotted and why the athletes are forced to depend on fierce peers just to secure basic locker room safety, while the central office remains completely paralyzed.
Actually, Connecticut is playing really good as a whole. I think everyone's playing their role really well from top to bottom. You know, they don't go out there and do anything outside of what they do, and that makes it difficult. And so, yeah, you could look at standings and where they're at in the league, but when you do that in this league, you're going to get beat by 50. And so we have one more game before break, and we cannot take this game lightly at all. And so we have to come out with following our scout, following our game plan offensively, making them play us into what we do. But, you know, BG's a load for anybody.
Last one I have, Sophie. How do you, I guess, navigate a climate where whatever you say, people are going to say, well, this means you're automatically in this box or this label or that label, politically, morally, whatever?
I really don't care. I know that sounds bad, and I'm not trying to come off like that, but I do think, you know, everyone always is coming at it as a negative. Well, me coming out with that, there's so many people who are coming out with the positive, saying, you know what, finally someone has said something, and I don't really look at either side of those, because I know whatever I say, I'm going to get hate and I'm going to get love. And if I'm going to live by the love, I'm going to die by the hate. And that's just not who I am. I beat to my own drum. And so people are always going to have something to say. You could win the championship. You could be the best at whatever it is. And there's still people who are going to hate on you. And so that's just what this world is. So I'm confident in who I am. I'm proud of who I am. I'm happy being me. And I'm going to continue to be that.
Have you always had kind of that mentality when it comes to, you know, people saying things, or is that something you've built and learned to adapt over time?
You know, I think I've always kind of been able to, you know, handle that type of pressure, I would say, and the type of eyes and the type of people who have comments. And like I said, there's, you know, going to be some negative comments, but there's also a whole bunch of positive comments too that no one really ever, you know, people hate positivity for some reason. I have no idea why, but there's a lot of positive comments too when it comes to that. And so, you know, it is what it is. Like I said, we're all human. We're no one's perfect here. And so I really don't care what other people have to say. I know who I am. My people know who I am. And hopefully I'm doing them proud and, you know, making room for young boys and girls in our world to have a better future than we did.
The commanding officer of the association is currently sitting atop an actively detonating explosive, completely exposed after her veteran administration foolishly believed they could control this massive surge in popularity, utilizing the exact same venomous, antiquated tactics of previous decades. Assuming the locker rooms would simply bow their heads and comply was a fatal league-altering misjudgment that has officially pushed this sport past any conceivable point of return. Fed up with being muzzled regarding sexual misconduct and surviving within a dangerously flawed infrastructure, the absolute brightest luminaries in the game are completely boycotting the grandest stage available. Spearheaded by the relentless fury of their enforcers and the unmatched bargaining power of their transcendent point guards, the competitors have forcefully reclaimed their agency. The organization as we currently know it is irreparably shattered, leaving Kathy Engelbert and her executive staff to face a towering, unstoppable rebellion from furious investors while their most sinister institutional secrets are paraded before a global audience. I absolutely need to hear your unvarnished thoughts on this colossal, unprecedented sporting catastrophe as it unfolds in real time. Do you support this courageous locker room uprising, and do you genuinely believe the association can ever recover from this devastating superstar strike? Unleash your most brutally honest takes in the comment section below, and ensure you crush that like button. Subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell to catch every single explosive update on this rapidly developing crisis.